Greyhawk Grognard here. If you like the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notified. You know, all that other good stuff that all the channels say. And feel free to visit my blog and my Patreon. Links are down below. Now, enjoy the show. Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me again today. Today we're going to continue our read through of the World of Greyhawk Gold Box, and we're going to go through the section in the glossography that pertains to deities and their clerics. And I'm going to focus on the clerical abilities, although there's still a couple of things here and there in the god descriptions that I think is really neat and bears a little mention. So thank you again, and here we go. Alrighty, so right off the bat, we see here in the clerical powers and bonuses that the clerics of certain of the deities in Greyhawk have additional experience point goals that they need to have. So you need to, if you're a cleric of Celestian, for example, you need to have 10% more XP to go up in levels than a regular by-the-book cleric. And the reason for this is that certain clerics have either special abilities or access to special spells or stuff like that that regular clerics don't have, and thus they need to pay a penalty in order to enjoy those benefits. And you can tell that the list of customized clerics is relatively small. There's only 11 of them in the book, although, among the deities that are described in the book, there are only 11. There are actually a lot more deities on the list than get an actual write-up in this book, which is fine. It can only be so long. But, for example, you don't see Bakob in this list because his clerics don't have any benefits. So if we go to the next page, however, Celestian, whose clerics have a 10%, they need 10% more XP. His clerics do have several spells that they have access to over here. So when you're of the first order, which is first and second level, you get Featherfall. And these are in addition to the regular spells that you have. So as a first level cleric of Celestian, you get your first level spell and any wisdom bonus spells, plus you get Featherfall, which is kind of a nice perk, especially at lower levels, but they obviously get more and more powerful as the character goes up in level, so I always thought that was a neat thing. Clerics of St. Cuthbert have the same sort of thing, depending on the level. So, for example, Chapeaus, they have different orders within within St. Cuthbert's church that have different functions, and the Chapeaus, they can cast Shillelagh. Stars have ESP once they hit a certain level, and the Billets get friends. They get those in addition to their regular clerical spells. Clerics of Alona are able to track as if they were rangers, and at 5th level they get Animal Friendship, which is again in addition to their regular spells, and they have to pay an additional 5% XP to get that. Clerics of Erethnal, where is it down here? Fear. Oh no, I apologize. That's Erethnal himself can cast Fear. Clerics, on the other hand, can cast a Scare spell once they reach 3rd level. And again, in addition, Farlangen is a very interesting case because Farlangen can himself summon variant types of earth elementals, and it seems to me that these are the first real mention of what would go on to become quasi-elementals and meta-elementals. Those are the elementals from those elemental planes that either intersect, so the intersection of the elemental plane of earth, and the elemental plane of water is the elemental plane of ooze, and so forth. So and those realms have their own elemental creatures in them. And I think what we're seeing here is the first mention of these, because you have dust elementals, magma elementals, mud elementals. I think that's an important step in kind of the evolution of the game, because you're going to see that idea really tricked out later when you see Monster Manual 2, for example. Then Hieronius, his clerics, when they get to a pretty high level, they use a bolt of energy once a week, which is not described here, but I believe there's a little more detail in the other book, which we'll get to. Hextor, priests are also assassins, which is really kind of cool. Clerics of Incabulus, they can cast hypnosis and sleep and such, and so you get the idea that while there are limits to the kind of variations in clerics that you see in this book, this is really the first time we see that, oh yes, there are clerics who are not the standard type straight out of the player's handbook. And I believe if we look at the other book, we'll see some. If memory serves, clerics of Hieronius can use swords or something like that. So there are variations also in weapons that can be used. So it's just that was really the big point I wanted to make about this, is that there were many debates in Dragon Magazine back in the 70s and 80s about should clerics use spells. I mean, there were entire articles and counter articles and going back and forth about it. Should they be able to use edged weapons and so forth. And then here comes the World of Greyhawk, which is basically the standard, saying, "Yep, you don't have to have clerics that are just straight out of the book," which I thought is a really cool thing. For example, Neryl's clerics can use sickles, which are treated like daggers, but it's a edged weapon, but it's in keeping with the theme, because Neryl is the Reaper. He's the god of death and so forth. So having his clerics being able to use sickles and scythes and so forth, it makes a lot of sense. Plus, they have some other abilities. They don't get surprised as much. So it's not always just spells. There are all kinds of different things, as long as they are in keeping with the nature of the deity, that clerics can do. So, and again, I'm not going to go through each and every one. There are a bunch of them in here. There's the addition of Raxavort, who's the god of Zvarts, which was a new invention at the time, a new humanoid race. And in fact, no, never mind. Never mind that. And that brings us to the end of the book. So there we go. We've successfully made it through the glossography. Next up, we'll start taking a look at the guide to the World of Greyhawk. Hope you enjoyed this little trip through one of the foundational texts of my favorite campaign world. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please feel free to hit the like button, subscribe. Once we hit 750 subscribers, I get to do my review of Return to the Temple of Elemental Evil, and that's sure to be a hoot. Please, feel free, hit my Patreon, buy one of my books on DriveThruRPG, go to the blog and hit the tip jar, all kinds of cool stuff. So have a great weekend, everybody, and I will talk to you later.